It's your boy Eddie D. Williams, and you are listening to or watching the Just Talking About podcast. We're welcoming you all here. First episode, certainly excited to be among you guys on today. We're on the various platforms live right now if you are watching from the various social media platforms, but you can also listen to this once we get this uploaded. We'll be available on Spotify, YouTube, as well as Apple Podcasts. And so certainly excited about that, but certainly glad to be among you guys once again. Certainly glad to be back in the saddle as it pertains to doing podcasting. I haven't been podcasting in months, and I've got a lot of things that have been on my mind. And so I'm certainly glad for this opportunity to be able to be back on the live with y'all one more again, to be able to share with you my thoughts on all the things that are going on in the world. There is nothing off limits, nothing out of bounds. And again, I am no stranger to stirring up a little bit of good trouble, as my thoughts and opinions may not be everybody's cup of tea. But I started this podcast to give nuance to a lot of different things that are going on in the world. I feel like everything is so polarizing nowadays that, it's just no one's really having conversations with each other anymore. And so I wanted this to feel more like just listening to my thoughts and my feelings about little things that are going on here and there in the world, and just giving a different take on a lot of what we see going on in the world. So again, there's nothing off limits, nothing out of bounds. I'm willing to talk about any and everything. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to drop in the chat box, whatever it is that's on your mind, and more than happy to try to answer any and all questions that you may have as the live goes on. But again, we are certainly grateful for this opportunity to be before you one more again, to be able to share with you my joy and passion for all things, everything that's going on in the world. We are presented by Rebirth Publishings, the publishing arm of my books, The Infinity Theory and Echoes. Certainly grateful to the team for allowing me to be able to use Rebirth Publishings as our anchor, and giving us an opportunity to be able to share my passion for writing as well through this platform. And so Rebirth Publishings presents Just Talking About with your boy Eddie D. Williams. So let's get into it today, man. We got 3 topics that I want to at least get through today. Hopefully we can get through them all. If not, I'll save it for Thursday when we come back on the live at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But the 3 things I definitely want to talk about on today. First off is Amanda Seales and her Jubilee surrounded conversation with 20 black conservatives. We want to jump into that and some of the nuances going on there. We also want to talk about Nadia Cole-Ford's crash out when she posted an owl on her social media page, and the fallout that came from that. And then we're also going to talk about Sinners and Stardust and how that whole situation went down, and how it's just like, my gosh, how far we have fallen when it comes to doing these book events, and some of the dangers and precautions thereof. And so we're going to get into all of that. And again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to drop down in that comment box and let me know what you're thinking and how you're feeling. More than happy to give you guys the opportunity to be able to share your thoughts and feelings about anything that you may hear me talking about on today. But let's get into it, man. Let's talk about Amanda Seales and how she was talking to 20 black conservatives, and was having a conversation with these people and debating with these people regarding a whole host of different takes that she has regarding the state of blackness here in America. And so I just want to play one clip for you guys really quick. Let me do this.
To embrace a victim mentality, because that's not what our grandparents and Harriet Tubman and those people fought for. They fought for equal opportunity.
Do not bring up Harriet Tubman's name in vain, baby, please.
They said the Lord's name in vain. The Lord's name.
Harriet Tubman was literally saving her family and others from slavery.
Yeah. You know who helped her? White people.
You know who helped her?
They were on the Underground Railroad.
No,
Come on in.
No,
come on
you know
in.
who helped her?
Come on in.
No, you know who helped her?
God. And
people who benefit from white supremacy. One of the things
It's a lie. White supremacy is a lie.
No, sir,
It's
that's
a
simply
lie.
not
There's
true.
no such. I mean,
If that were not the case, then we wouldn't see the continued effort of colonialism and white people placing themselves in positions of power when they do not have the power.
Because their culture, black culture, is toxic. The black culture is toxic. We have produced a culture that is toxic. And let's get on the fact that there's no fathers in the black home. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
Stop.
Let's talk about that.
None of this is gonna work if y'all are just gonna sit here and make up shit.
It's
not gonna work. No, a debate has to be in facts.
You're putting off emotional liberalism right now.
I am not putting off emotional liberalism. You're putting off unfounded lies based in conservatism.
Misinformation. Remember they did the misinformation thing all summer where everything conservative did. They said misinformation.
You're carrying a chain around your neck of an apartheid nation that actively wants to harm black people and non-Jewish people. But let me bring it back. Let me bring it back.
I refuse to embrace a victim mentality because that's not.
In watching that exchange and the whole show, I watched the whole thing yesterday, and I can tell you that was one of the hardest hour and a halves of my life, watching that conversation, the series of conversations unfold. There were a couple of moments within that conversation where it seemed like some real discourse was going on, some real conversation was happening, and they were able to actually exchange in a good free exchange of information among one another. But for the most part, that was extremely difficult to watch. Extremely difficult to watch. Because again, what's happened for a lot of us is that we have lost the art of being able to have a real conversation with people. Toward the end of that conversation, toward the end of the show, rather, someone had posted, someone had said, one of the people had said, I realized that it's different having to defend your positions live versus doing it on a computer screen. Having to do all your typing and do all your facts and all the sort of things. It's difficult to do that in real time, face to face in front of the person that you're debating up against. And I feel like a lot of what has happened in our lifetime is that we've lost the ability to be able to communicate with each other, lost the ability to be able to talk and have real conversations with one another. And as a result, a lot of what ends up happening is we get into shouting matches, where I didn't come to this conversation for the free exchange of ideas. I came into this conversation seeking to defend my turf at all costs. I didn't come here to learn anything. I didn't come here to ask any questions. I didn't come here to really understand your side of things. I came into this conversation ready to defend my turf by all means necessary. And so whenever I'm bumping up against facts or bumping up against a different discourse or a different side of things, my immediate reaction is to attack and to attack and to attack, rather than seeking to understand and come to a consensus, even if we're agreeing to disagree. And so as I'm watching the conversations that were happening with Amanda Seales and the people that she was talking to, more and more I saw a lot of people who haven't really taken the time to understand the other side's position. We live in a world where we just echo chamber everything. Everything is all about what I think and then validating everything that I'm already thinking. There was a book that I read called The Explicit Gospel. And in the book, I think it was talking about the piece on creation. And it was saying that a lot of scientists have to be very careful that they're not going into their experiments with an expected outcome, an expected end, a desire that they're wanting their results to produce. That I already know what I want this to do, and so I'm going to make everything, I'm going to have the bias, and in having that bias is going to slant how I view what's happening in the experiment that I'm working on. And so rather than seeking real truth, I'm trying to steer the truth in a specific direction that benefits me and where I'm thinking. That's how a lot of us are operating nowadays. We are siloing ourselves in such a way to where if anyone says anything that's against what I'm thinking, I automatically see them as the enemy. No longer do we live in a world where we can have honest discourse with one another. Everything is super polarized now. If you don't think how I think, if you don't feel how I feel, you are automatically the enemy. You are automatically the bad guy. And I'm going to do everything in my power to defend my turf, even if I'm wrong. I'm going to defend my turf all day, every day. And so again, we're no longer going into conversations with one another, actually trying to learn something. We're not seeking to understand. We're seeking to defend. So all I saw during the Amanda Seales Jubilee interview or conversation rather was people defending turf. Again, you had one or two people who actually sat and said, I want to understand your position. I want to understand your side. I want to understand what's going on. But a lot of them, they just came in. They already knew what they wanted to say. They already knew how they wanted to say it, and they weren't going to back down from that whatsoever. And as a result, as Amanda kept shutting everything down with facts, with, figures, with, history, with all the things, every time they would, to get back in the tower rather than building the bridge, to get back in the tower and keep trying to dismantle what she's saying in an attempt to feel superior to what she's actually saying. You had the one guy who was talking about, all y'all want to say is misinformation. And she's like, but I'm giving you information. So where is that coming from? Why are you screaming misinformation? And then had the audacity to say you're engaging in emotional liberalism right now. But who was being the emotional one? And so again, it's like every time we in today's culture that someone goes up against what we believe, our tendency is to run back into the tower and begin defending the tower instead of actually taking an honest look at self and saying, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. You know what? Maybe I didn't get this right. Maybe this is an opportunity for me to learn something. Maybe this is an opportunity for me to figure something out that I've never seen before. And maybe it gives me an opportunity to really sit down and think. That's why Amanda kept saying, I'm not a black liberal. I'm a black radical. And why she said at the end of the day, I'm not for either party. I'm for what benefits me and benefits my family. And I think that the way that we're currently constructed is based in a system that, that brings us down at the benefit of the top 1% of the world. And we see that plain as day more and more as the days roll on, that the more the systems stay in place, the more it benefits the people at the top of the system at the expense of the ones at the bottom, regardless of what side of the aisle that you're on. A lot of people will sometimes get on me because, you're supposed to be a Democrat because you're black. No, I'm an independent person who is looking at the people who are running the show and asking myself, which one of them is going to benefit me and my family the best? When we had the election with Joe Biden, the reason why I voted for Joe Biden was because I live in a rural area where we didn't have access to good internet. And he promised that if he got in, he would get us good internet. The reason why y'all can see me clear now is because of him. Before, I couldn't go live on any platform, and y'all see me crystal clear. My internet was so shoddy, and I'm talking about in 2022. My internet was so shoddy. I'm not talking about 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I'm talking about 2 years ago. My internet was so shoddy, I could barely go live without it cutting out. Could barely go live without, somebody being like, man, I can't see you, you fuzzy, or you're cutting out. I've had people, my job was like, I don't know if we can keep you on because everybody keep complaining about how bad your internet service is. I'm like, please, just give me a minute. Homie said he was going to fix it. And sure enough, he came through for a brother. And we got some good fiber internet now. And as a result of that, we're able to now do what we do. And so I voted. I tell people every day, I voted for him because him said, He was going to get us some internet. And he made it happen through the infrastructure bill. They were able to finally get the monies within my county. They used that money to get the company. The company did the infrastructure, and now we got fiber internet. One of the best things ever happened. And so again, I'm not voting for party. I'm voting for interest. My personal interest. What's going to benefit me and my family? And for a lot of people, we're so polarized, where you're either for me in every way, shape, or form, or you're against me. You do one thing wrong, and now you're completely my enemy. You think one thing wrong, you're completely my enemy, and what's lost is nuance. We're not able to communicate with each other anymore. You got to be for me in every way, shape, and form. Got to believe everything that I believe. Got to feel everything that I feel. Furthermore, in watching the Amanda Seales the conversation, you could tell more and more just how lost as a people we are becoming, where because we're so siloed and because our history is being lost, a lot of people just don't know half the stuff that we've been through as a people here in America. They've forgotten a whole lot of things, and because the majority of the people that were talked to during that conversation were born 90s, maybe even in the 2000s. The history of how we got to where we are today is just completely lost on folk. They just have no clue. And so, again, we get into our silos and we get onto our platforms where the algorithm is tailored to us, tailored to what we like to hear, tailored to what we like to see, tailored to what we want to believe. And we just keep filling our minds with information that further supports what we already think. We're not challenging ourselves anymore to have real conversations and real arguments and challenging what we think, challenging what we believe. I want my silo. I want what I want. I want it how I want it, and nothing can come against that. And so again, lost now is a lot of our own history. When you have someone who's trying to tell you, Harriet Tubman, when she was helped by people who benefited from supremacy, like, that's a real statement. And it is further solidified by all the things that we see happening in our world today that are trying to further fortify these systems. The systems that were put in place to keep people down for the benefit of the few. And so again, lost in these conversations are the nuance necessary to have correct discourse, so that we can then get to real solutions. Because if you've already made up your mind how you're going to feel and what's going to happen in this conversation, why are you talking? Why are you talking to me? What if you've already made up your mind long before you've even had the first conversation with me? Why are you even bringing it up? This happens all the time when I'm promoting my books. As soon as someone sees the cover of my book, they've already made a decision that they're not going to read it. They're not going to read it because all they see are black characters on a book. They've already decided that it's, ghetto, or that it's some of y'all be so bold to call it EBT Rangers, or food stamp Rangers and stuff like that. You've already made up your mind before you even read the first page, asked the first question whether or not this book has any substance at all. You've already made up your mind. And so I asked the question, if you've already made up your mind about how you feel about something, why are you here? Why are you here? Because it's clear you don't want to have a conversation. You just want to get your point across and feel good that you've made your point, but at what expense? And so again, in watching that conversation, it was really heartbreaking to see just, again, how far as a nation we've become, as a people that we've become. But it also reminds me that the people who make the most noise are more or less in the minority. In so much that, as I tell people all the time, the vast majority of people that are using social media are not creators. They are consumers. They are reading, they are watching, they are being entertained. So a lot of the noise that's being made are actually made by a very, very small minority. And I'm not talking race, I'm just talking people in general. A very small minority of people are actually making the most noise. What we've done as a people is we feel as though because they're making the noise, everybody feels like that. You guys, you people, y'all, everybody feels like that. And it actually couldn't be further from the truth. Just like people will often say, half of marriages end in divorce. No, half of reported marriages end in divorce. Because where are you getting that information from, right? And so, again, a lot of times when we have these conversations and we're watching people on social media have these conversations, a lot of times it's actually reflective of a minority voice. Because most of the people who are on these platforms who have one side and either you're for me or against me, not a lot of people actually feel like that. But they're not going to say anything. They're just going to watch and they're going to keep it moving and they're going to go about living their lives. There are a lot more people who actually don't think the way that a lot of our social media platforms would suggest that they think. Just like with the guy who was saying, all y'all say misinformation or all y'all participate in this. Actually, we don't. There's a lot more of us that actually don't than do. But what's been perpetuated by the mainstream media and what's been perpetuated out there in the world, that's what actually has people thinking that this is how everybody thinks. And again, it couldn't be further from the truth. But in order to understand that and unpack that, we actually have to have room for nuance and not be so polarized to where if you think anything against me, then you clearly can't be for me. And again, it depends on the topic of the day, without question. But a lot of times, one little thing, you'll end up using that as a platform to think that all things, that this person isn't human, this person ain't right, this person ain't good. And it's just because of one thing that they believe. And that one thing that they believe or feel is important or whatever, you're now casting this person as an absolute, enemy to your thought processes, and an enemy to you as a person. And so those are my thoughts on Amanda Seales. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to drop down in the comment box below and let me know what you're thinking and how you're feeling. You are listening to and watching the Just Talking About podcast with your boy Eddie D. We're certainly glad to be on the live with you guys. This is the first episode, and so glad that we're able to be on the live with y'all on the various platforms. This will be packaged up and put together and put on the various platforms in the days and weeks to come via our clips and posts. If you have any questions or comments or there's a topic of interest that you would like me to talk about, feel free to let me know. You can email us at justtalkingaboutpodcast@gmail.com. You can also talk to us in the chat box right now, and we will definitely get those comments, those questions, and if it's something that is good enough for me, or something that's percolating in my mind, I'd be more than happy to have a discourse about what's on your mind. We are presented by Rebirth Publishings, the publishing arm of my books, The Affinity Theory and Echoes. The Affinity Theory is my adult superhero romance thriller, the 3-time award-winning book in which Malcolm, Simone, and their superpowered teammates have come together to take down a maniacal force of darkness who's hell-bent on wiping out the power population and murking one of their own. It's X-Men meets Hancock meets Twilight meets the Avengers, and it's one of the best times you're going to have reading a superhero novel in a very long time. In my book, Echoes, book 2 of the saga, Malcolm, Simone, and the Elite Defenders unit must stand united against the rogue political faction in a battle for the soul of Uri City. Will the Elite Defenders stand united against this colossal juggernaut's assault, or will the monsters of their past eviscerate them and seize possession of the soul of a nation? It's X-Men meets True Blood meets Captain America Civil War in an epic clash of the titans that you do not want to miss. I encourage one and all Head over to the bio and follow the instructions in the bio to receive your copy of the Affinity Theory and Echoes. And so again, this show is presented by Rebirth Publishing, the publishing arm of the Affinity Theory and Echoes, books 1 and 2 of the Affinity Saga. So, about 2 weeks ago, about 1 or 2 weeks ago, we in the social media field, we saw a lot of hoopla that was going on with Nadia Okorafor. I can't show it to you guys. I'm gonna figure out how to show my screen to y'all. But on 8/9/2025, Nadia Okorafor posted this on her posted this on her feed on Threads. She said, "Saw my friendly neighborhood great horned owl last night during my post-workout walk, smiley face. Indeed, they look like cats, which is why they're often referred to as winged tigers." Tiger emoji, owl emoji. And she has a video of the owl that's sitting in a palm tree. And then she has a picture of the owl sitting in the palm tree. Someone who I can't find right now because I forgot the person's name and all that jazz. But long story short, this person got on her feed and asked her if she would be willing to put on a trigger warning the next time she decides to post an owl on her feed. And her response was something to the effect of, absolutely not. You will be fine, and so will the owl. With that, homeboy was offended, went on a tirade on his feed, saying all the things. She responded in kind, went to her silo, said all the things, and it turned to a whole 3-day affair. I caught wind of this on the back end of all this stuff going down. And in response to what I saw happening, which is what I'm going to get into in just a moment, I wrote these words. Give me a second to find them. Scroll, 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 scroll. I've been talking a lot on the on my feed. Essentially, it is wrought. Nope, nope, nope. It's here somewhere. Give me a second. I thought I had it prepped and ready. Where is it? Nope, 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 nope. Nope. I thought I had it here. Give me a second, y'all. Let me see. Nope, that's not it either. Hold on. Let me keep scrolling. I thought I had it prepped, y'all. Give me 1 second to find this thing. I thought I had it prepped and ready to go. Here we go. Okay, I had to scroll further down. So this is what I said in response to it. Let me move this over so I can read this in full. Okay, here we go. This is what I said. This might get me unfollowed, but it must be addressed. Many of us in this social media world act as if our favorite authors and celebrities owe us perfection. We leave no room for humanity, as if they must serve us in all our proclivities, leaving no room for nuance or joy. The rage baiting that occurs within the book space has become unrelenting, making many of us authors so frustrated that we'd rather just sit in our corners than engage authentically, with every single move we make being scrutinized and demonized if it doesn't fit your bias or your agenda. We can't post anything without worrying that we're going to offend some dark corner of the universe. And if we don't respond how that offended party desires, we're automatically considered hateful, spiteful, and any other word that means other in the negative sense. I'm beginning to understand more and more that social media is a young man's game, where you have to have the time and energy to battle algorithms to secure your supremacy at the expense of your authenticity and worth. Because apparently, all it takes is me posting a video of a bird in my yard that brought immense joy to my soul, and it can cost me my entire career. And when I tell you, I have never seen so much engagement with my posts, because now everybody was getting on me, basically saying that's not what it was about. It wasn't the fact that she didn't want to that she didn't want to, engage with what he was talking about. It's that she then went and agreed with everybody who was saying things that were anti him. It wasn't about the fact that she didn't want to do it. If she wanted to do, she didn't want to do it that way. All she had to do was say nothing. She could have been silent. She didn't have to say what she said. She didn't have to be rude. She didn't have to do this. She didn't have to do that. So many people, furthermore, were saying things to the fact of, I knew this was how she was. This is how she's always been. She's done this. She's done that. She said this. She said that. And on repeat, people just kept denigrating her time after time after time. Now, here's how going back to what my post was saying. This is how I feel about the entire situation. Two things can be true at the same time. Two things can be true at the same time. Nadia Cole 4 should have said nothing. Could have said nothing. Let this person say what they want to say on the post. Because if it's one thing that I've learned, as Hijabi's telling us in the chat box right now, people gonna think what they want to think. Content is my domain. The comments box is y'all's domain. I can't control what you decide to do in the comment box. I can't decide what you control to do in the comment section. So rather than get it all up in my feelings about what someone says about, what I'm doing or how I'm feeling, whatever, I don't engage in the comment section unless I choose to engage in the comment section. I'm not going to go off of a reaction or a response or feeling I'm feeling, because I recognize that somebody might have something to say about what I got to say if I clap back. Clearly, in me saying that statement, a whole host of people came out the woodwork saying that, man, you know what? You just like her. So you anti this too. You're anti that. You're anti this. You're anti that. And I'm like, I never said. But again, that's me in my head. Because again, at the end of the day, again, should she have not responded? Absolutely, sure. Shouldn't have responded. But at the same time, the person who decided to go into her feed and make a request that she now put trigger warnings anytime she posts an owl on her page. My guy, if that bothers you, simply swipe. Not interested. Remove. Xbox. Delete. Which brings me to my point that I was trying to make on the platform. We as a consumer are so entitled now that we feel like anybody, celebrity or not, has to conform to what I want them to do. Now, again, I'm flat-footed on that. We act as if these celebrities owe us something. We act as if celebrities owe us to be who we want them to be. The old adage, never meet your heroes. Because once you meet them, you'll see what's behind the veil and see the humanity in them. See things you don't like, and your vision for who they are is completely dismantled. A lot of us act like just because I'm following this person, or just because I bought this person's material, that now has given me relational equity with this person. Come on now. Didn't ask for voyeurism. Come on now. Like, now that we have this connection with each other through social media, I now have the ability to get you to conform to the way I think and to the person that I am. Nadia Okafor didn't owe him or anybody else for that matter anything. Nobody on these platforms owe us anything. Unless and until you build relational equity with these people, they don't owe us anything. They don't even owe us politeness. Because when I read her reply, when she said, absolutely not, the owl will be fine, you will be fine, and so will the owl, I could hear how my auntie speaks. I could hear how my grandma speaks. I could hear how my mom and my sister and my wife and my daughters, how they speak. And I chuckled because I'm like, that sounds like something my mama would say. That sounds like something my grandma would say. That sounds like something Nicole would say. Absolutely not. You'll be fine, and so will the owl. And so, again, we act as if she and a host of other celebrities owe us perfection. And we are so unforgiving when we are offended by them. Like, she doesn't owe anyone anything. She doesn't owe becoming more sensitive to different cultures or anything of that sort. If she chooses to do that, that's on her. That's her prerogative. If she chooses not to, that's her prerogative. But at the end of the day, what I was speaking to is the fact that I cannot sit around every day, all day, trying to determine whether or not what I'm about to post right now may offend this person who I don't know from a world I don't know and have no wherewithal whatsoever. And so, am I going to now put label warnings on every single thing that I post? Am I going to walk on eggshells around people so that I make sure I don't offend him, I don't offend her, I don't do this, I don't do that, I don't make this person mad, I don't make that person mad? What kind of existence is that? Where I have to be mindful of every single possible outcome that could occur by me making a post. Now, again, hindsight being 2020, with Nadia Okafor having such a big spotlight, it may behoove her to, get a PR person, social media person, to be more mindful of those things. But at the same time, it's her prerogative. If she wants to post an owl on her page, she can post an owl on her page. And she shouldn't have to be worried about, I'm going to offend somebody if I post the fact that this owl that I see in a tree makes me happy. Like, again, we've become so entitled as a people, so entitled as consumers, so entitled come on now, like, if we're so entitled as a culture now, to where we have the audacity to ask someone who, and this is somebody posted this. I wish I could get to it right now. Somebody posted this. We're so entitled now that we are demanding that people who we pay to be a part of our lives to do what we want them to do. The only reason this person is a part of my life is because I paid $20 for their book. That's it. That's all. No one owes any of us anything. I have very, very, very little relational equity with the vast majority of the people whose books I have on my bookshelves. I have no relational equity to any of the people who are watching on TV or listening to on the radio or anything of that sort. And so, you can make a demand. You can make a demand. Look, you owe me book 3. I owe me book 3. What you talking? So I can make a demand on people's lives all day long. But to have the audacity to now be so offended and enraged that now I'm going to go on a smear campaign because this person didn't respond the way that I wanted them to respond to me, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And we, as a people, it's sad to say, I don't know if we can get back to this, but it would behoove us to get back to a place where we recognize that these people don't owe us a thing. They don't owe us a thing. Jobby said, "Is you want something sugar coated? Go to the candy store." Heck yeah! Like they don't owe us anything. These authors, these celebrities, they don't owe us anything. And so for us to try to make demands on their lives as if they owe us, no, they don't. They don't owe us anything. And again, could she have responded differently? Absolutely. Could she not have gone into her silo? Absolutely. But again, she's human. She's human. Just like the person who went in his silo and started talking about the fact that she's rude and we need to not read any of her books and all those sort of things. She's human too. And maybe again she should, be up to a higher standard or whatever, but so should the consumer. So should the consumers. Who am I talking about? Nadia Kofor. I can't the person who actually who started all this off. I can't find his post. But it was a person who, again, this person who responded to Nadia Kofor's post. But again, they don't owe us anything. They don't owe us anything. And so to want so badly to have this person who you have no relational equity to, all you did was buy her book. All you did was, have her, you follow her, don't even know if she's following you back, and have the audacity to, the person, Nadia Kofor, NediokO, Okoafor, Okoafor. Actually, I have one of her books here. It's this book right here. This is one of her books. And so again, again, I say all that to say that again, these celebrities don't owe us anything. As the consumer, it will behoove us to remember that just because we have a connection to someone via social media does not give us the right to have such an entitled mentality as to make them have to conform to who we are to make us feel good about what we see on our feeds. If you don't like what you see on your feed, not interested. Swipe. Move on. You don't have to try to make a person become what you want them to be and then have a whole attitude when they choose not to. Period, point blank. And I stand on that. Again, I understand she could have responded differently, but at the end of the day, she wouldn't have had to respond at all had this person not decided I'm going to make my point, and in doing so, hope that it changed her mind, and you have zero relational equity with this person. Again, it's different when it's a person that you know, a person you have a relationship with, a person that you have connection to. That can probably move the needle. But what makes us think that it's gonna the fact that I posted is gonna make somebody, especially someone as I'm gonna say stubborn as Nadia Kofor, move the needle when you don't know her? That again is the problem that I have with this whole thing. You don't know her. And so to now go on a whole smear campaign over somebody that you don't know, the only reason why you know of this person is because you may have read a book or two. You don't know her, and yet you're going through all of this. Thank you for saying this. No, yeah, I'm saying no, you don't have relational equity. You don't have relational equity. So why would you expect a person that you have no connection to whatsoever to now capitulate to you? You have no relational equity with this person. It's different if it's your mom, your dad, your sisters, your cousins, your friends, your comrades, the people who are in your inner circle. If they're telling you, hey, yeah, you may want to think about da-da-da-da, okay, that makes sense to me. But no, you are a random person showing up in her comment box and expecting her to treat you the way you want to be treated. Yeah, we hope that people would treat us the way we want to be treated, but that's not a guarantee. And again, by all accounts, Nadia Kofor, she's stubborn as a mule. And so, this ain't the first time she done clap back at some folk. So again, if you know this is how she is, what makes you think you're gonna be any more special? Like, come on now. And so again, I'm saying that to say, like, again, these celebrities don't owe us anything. They don't owe us a thing. So rather than trying to get people to move the needle and then catching a whole attitude and now going on a smear campaign because they did one thing wrong, instead take the step back and recognize these people don't owe us shit. They don't owe us a thing. They don't owe us a thing at all. And again, the only reason why this person is a part of our lives is simply because we paid our $29.99, our $19.99, our $9.99 for them to be a part of our lives. The only reason why these people exist in my life is because I bought their books. Most of them anyway. Now, there's the few, the indies that, you know, we have conversations with and stuff, and y'all my dogs, y'all my girls. But for the vast majority, they don't know me. I don't know them. I'm going to get to meet Nia Davenport at the Black Book Bash. I don't know if we're going to make a connection. I really hope we make a connection. I'd love to make a connection. But she don't owe me that. She don't owe me that. Author to author, book to book, she don't owe me that. And so again, I'm saying all that to say, these people don't owe us a thing. It will behoove us to stop acting so entitled, as if they do. Which brings us to our next topic. But again, want to thank everybody for coming on to the Just Talking About podcast with your boy Eddie D. This is episode number 1. Certainly glad that you guys are sharing your time and energy with me on today on the various platforms live. We're going to package this up and make sure that we have this on our YouTube channel in the days to come. We are live every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so certainly glad to be able to be back on the podcast platforms. It's been a long time. I got a lot of thoughts on my mind that I've been wanting to share with y'all for forever. And so I'm glad that I have this opportunity to be among you guys on today. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, if there's something that's on your mind and you want me to talk about it, hit me up in the DMs, or you can email us at justtalkingaboutpodcast@gmail.com. If it's a topic of relevance, then I will definitely have it percolating on my mind, and on a future episode may talk about that very thing. And again, we are presented by Rebirth Publishings, the publishing arm of my books, The Affinity Theory and Echoes, books 1 and 2 of the Affinity Saga. In my adult superhero romance thriller saga, you have Malcolm and Simone and their superpowered teammates as they're trying to take down maniacal forces of darkness and rogue political factions in both books 1 and 2 of the saga. And so if you have not gotten your book yet, head over to the bio and follow the instructions in the bio to secure your copies of The Affinity Theory and Echoes. Be more than happy to have you join the bandwagon for the Affinity Saga. And again, we are this podcast, Just Talking About Podcast, is presented by Rebirth Publishings. And so, speaking of entitlement, there's a lot of chatter right now within the book expos and book signings spaces. There was a ball that happened on this weekend called Sinners and Stardust. And I'm going to try to preface my comments and not say too much because I don't want to get kicked off of the various platforms. But there was, some essay and some SH that was happening during this event. And there were some videos that were like, whoa. And I mean, they were getting it in. It was real bad. And several people, celebrity and non, were approached without consent. And it was just a really, really bad look. Really, really bad look, to say the least. It was awful. Let me not try to sugarcoat this. It was awful. It was awful the way that these people were treated, and I feel like a lot of it has to do with entitlement. This was a romance, erotic book event. So you had a lot of romance book authors, a lot of erotic authors who were in this event, and they were showcasing their work, and there was a lot of things that were going on in the event. And for a lot of us, we can sometimes take our fantasies and our love for what we read too far. And as a result, we think that the authors and the presenters are the characters in the books that they write. And so there was an expectation there. This is how I'm conceiving this. There was an expectation there that I can do these things to this author, to this celebrity, to whomever, and it's okay because they write this stuff all the time. So they must be the characters that they've written, and I'm wanting to live out the fantasies that this writer has produced. And so I'm grateful for the response of the people in charge of Sinners and Stardust, but it is a cautionary tale nonetheless that a lot of people, for some people, let me not say a lot, I say a lot, for some people, respect has just gone out the window. Entitlement has become the name of the game. And people forget that we are people with souls. They forget that we have minds and we have hearts. We have families. We have friends. We are seen as pieces of meat. We are seen as cogs in machines. We are seen as robots who are meant to serve at the will of whomever. And as a result of that, the consumers have forgotten, some consumers have forgotten that, just because I write X does not give you license to do something to me. Just because I produce this type of material does not mean that I get down like that. So to make an assumption so deep and so wide and so large to where now I feel entitled to do these things, again, not so. One of the persons who was inappropriately dealt with, posted, don't want to press charges because I don't want to make a bigger deal out of it than it already is, and I'm not going to be able to know who did what. I blacked out half the time because of what was happening. Like, these are real people. These are real people. It's not just an author to a book. It's a human being. And by and large, we're seeing more and more people are forgetting the humanity, forgetting who we are as people, and just using us for whatever their agendas are, whatever their purposes are. And again, this is across all platforms, all places, things. It happens in religion, it happens in politics, it happens in entertainment, it happens in media, it happens within leisure, sports. People are constantly being used, constantly being chess pieces on a board, and the humanity of a person is being lost. And more people are feeling emboldened to treat people how they want to treat them and getting away with it. And so again, I caution us as a book community in particular, we got to take care of our own. We got to take care of our own. You have authors now who are like, I'm not doing another event. I'm not going to do another event. I'm done. You got other authors who are scared now. Like, I was gonna go, but now I'm not so sure because I don't know how these people will act. And so you have the curator saying, you know, don't let that one event deter you from coming, because we're not gonna act like that. That's not what we about. You got a lot of authors and consumers like, you know what? I think I'm good. I think I'm good. That was it for me. I thought that these were safe events. I'm not so sure now. And so, again, I encourage us as a book community in particular that we remember that these authors are human beings. They're human beings. And just because we have a connection with them in the material that they've written or a social media platform that we're following them from, just because we have that does not then give us license to treat them any kind of way. It's not right. It's not right. It's not fair. And I say it like this. It's gonna sound real childish, but would you want that to be you? Would you want to be treated the way that you're treating them? Would you want that? I can almost guarantee the answer is no. Well, if that's your daughter, your son, your mom, your dad, would you want that same treatment to be given to them? Yeah, many people who were carrying on like that are now doing all their mea culpas because they got caught. You know, my bad, I thought it was harmless, but what gives us the license to treat people that way? Just because we are, you know, again, in these spaces and there's a certain level of intimacy that's happening among our author community because we're such a small bunch, does not give us license to treat people any kind of way. It's not right. And we should be ashamed of ourselves. Because again, just because we're connected to an author by virtue of having bought their material does not mean that we have any relational equity to them to be able to do what we feel we want to do, or that they have to act in a certain way that they want us to act. Not so. Not so. Again, these people are a part of our lives because we spend our money for them to perform for us in the form of their art, their books. Celebrities are a part of our lives in so much that we are consuming their material. That does not make us, again, a part of their lives. No more than they are a part of ours. And so it would behoove us to get out of this mindset of just because I'm connected to an author or connected to a celebrity of any capacity through a social media event or through a social media page or through having bought their material, that now gives me access to them, that allows me to treat them how I feel like I want them to treat me. Not so. Not so. If you don't have relational equity with these people, they are not entitled to do what we want them to do or feel how we want them to feel. They are human beings with their own hearts, their own minds, their own desires, their own interests, the whole 9 yards. They don't owe us anything. And like I said, now with what happened at Sinners and Stardust, you have a lot of authors who are plumb terrified to come through and be at the events, in fear of what might happen to them if they go. A lot of authors who saw what happened to Nadia Coafor this past weekend are like, this is why I don't want to be on social media anymore. This is why I don't want to post anymore. It's why, I don't want to, share anymore, because people feel like they're entitled to me. And so again, it would behoove us as the consumer to think about. Think before we post. Think before we act. Think before we meet our favorite author or favorite celebrity or whoever. These people are not entitled. No, these people don't owe us anything. They don't owe us looking into our lives to see what type of, lifestyle that we live. They're not entitled to be present and active and focused solely on us when we're at events. We're not entitled to any of that stuff, regardless of whether we paid for them to sit on our bookshelves. They don't owe us anything. And so, again, it will behoove us to be more mindful and aware of our position in their lives and to not treat them as if they owe us anything, because the reality is they don't owe us squat. They don't owe us a thing. And maybe, just maybe, we can get back to the days where a simple owl post it doesn't cost you your whole career. That's going to do it for the first episode of the Just Talking About podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed my discourse on today. Thank you guys so much for taking the time, taking the energy and effort to be here on the live with me. We're going to package this up and have it available on our YouTube channel as well as on Spotify in the days to come. So be looking for that. And again, I really do appreciate y'all from the bottom of my heart for giving me this opportunity to get back in the saddle with our podcast. And so again, if you have anything that's on your mind and you want me to talk about it, feel free to send me an email at justtalkingaboutpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll we'll throw that into the mix with all the other things that may be on my mind. There's a lot going on in the world, and dadgummit, I'm gonna talk about it, because at this point I just want to talk about stuff. And so thank y'all once again for giving me the opportunity to be on the live with y'all on today. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching the Just Talking About podcast with Eddie D, presented by Rebirth Publishings. And as I always say, if you can't see the good, be the good. I love you guys. Peace out, homies.